どれ来てるの？ブラッド行こうかじゃあ。
はい、さあ、フラッシュカード。
OK。フラッシュカード
Yeah.
って何？
Flashcards.
フラッシュカードっていうのがあって、
Yeah. So flashcards traditionally they're paper where you would write the meaning on one side in English, the meaning on the other
単語帳か
side.
な？
Yeah, in Japanese.
単語帳かな？
So-
はいはいはい。
That's a traditional way,
はいはい
but a lot of them are online now. There's a number of different sites you can use,
うん
and I use a website or an application called anki, which is
Anki
ironic
は
because it's
ジャパニーズかな？
well,
暗記そのままかな？
it's as it sounds anki. It's a Japanese word, but you have to write it in Romaji
あー
for it to come up like that. I think if you just look up anki, it'll come up
はい
with
はいはい
like the definitions
暗
of
記
the
って
word.
アプリね。
But if you look it up on with Romaji,
うん
it'll come up.
うんうんうん。
And it's a brilliant application. It's very versatile. You can add whatever you want to any side of the card,
うんうんうんうん
and there's pre-made decks already on the Anki
うん
website,
うん
and they include vocabulary lists for various languages. You could even learn geography or something else if you wanted.
Geography.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I use this. It's free online, and on the Android store it's free. On the Apple one it's quite expensive, but you can still use it on the internet, so it's
Okay.
still free if you
Yeah, yeah.
want to. But I use that for vocabulary and kanji especially, but I think for English speakers it would be great for vocab.
Yeah.
And you can add thousands and thousands of words to it, and the idea is it uses spaced repetition so that if you get a word right, you don't see it for a few days. If you get it wrong,
Mhm.
you see it the next day.
Yeah.
By doing this, I put it on my phone, and I always had those flashcards there, so when I was on the train, when I was
Yeah. Like anytime.
anywhere
yeah.
at all,
Anywhere
I
in
could just
town.
pick it up for
Yeah.
5 minutes, go through some
Yeah.
words, and
Yeah.
finish it. And having it that easy just in my hand, not needing to have a book or something,
Yeah.
really helped. And like making the cards myself
Mm.
was a way to remember the words at first as well.
Mm.
And so I used to put kanji on there, and I would study 40 kanji a day or something like that, maybe 20 or even 5 if I
そう
didn't
だ
have
よ
the
ね
time.
日本語ちょっとまたちゃうよね。確かに。
Yeah.
漢字覚えな
Yeah.
もの読めへんもんね。まずそもそも。確
But
かに。
just for words in general, like if it's English, I'm sure you could put just the English and the Japanese. You don't need to worry about kanji, and it's just as helpful.
そうやね。
And something about having that on my phone made it super easy, and I would set a daily goal. So every day I would do it.
はいはいはい。
And by kind of creating this routine out of the flashcards app, I was able to remember a lot more kanji than I was before, and kind of track my progress and try and not miss a day.
はい
And
はいはいはい。
I think it's really useful.
確かにアプリケーションとか、まあ、ゲームを使うっていうのも確かに一つの方法かもしれない。そういうアプリ、まあ、ゲームとかね、
Yeah,
で英語を勉強していくってのも確かに。でゲームで、まあ、俺も人を使ったゲームでちょっと一つ紹介したのがあって、オーストラリアに初めて留学行った時に語学学校でしたゲームがあって、まあ、それはまあめちゃくちゃ簡単に言うと、まあ、説明ゲームみたいな感じのゲームを、
Yeah, yeah.
その時はねグループの中に多分10人ぐらい多分5人で分かれて、早くできた方、まあ、勝ちみたいな競争レースみたいなのがあって、その時に俺のチームにはスペイン人とかなんかブラジル人とかなんかサウジアラビア人いろいろなまあ原種の人たちがいて、でお題が、まあ、リザベーション予約、リザベーションっていう単語で、でそうでそのまあスペイン人の友達がまあ一人そのホワイトボードの前に立ってて、で俺たちその他の4人は全員そのホワイトボード見えてるから、リザベーションやね今回のでこいつにその意味を予想させなあかん。俺たちがそれをリザベーションという単語を使わずにそいつに Before you go to a restaurant you have to make this みたいな感じでそいつにそいつがリザベーションって言ったら私が勝ちみたいな。っていうのをそれだからまあ要するにエクスプレネーションゲーム説明をしてその人に予測してもらうっていうゲームをやっててこれ結構まあ面白くて何が面白いかというとそのさっきみたいに before とか after とか when とか本当によく使うような表現とか you have to とか you can とか you want とかさっきのテンプレートに近いこういった表現をめちゃくちゃ頻繁に使わないといけないっていうのがこのゲームの面白いところでその説明する内容でもさっきのリザベーションだったけど他何でもよくて正直、例えばグラスカップねカップとかのグラスだったら、You use this when you drink something、とかっていう感じで、まあ、めちゃくちゃ簡単に今の多分単語もすごい簡単な単語ばっか多分並べてたんですけど、そんな感じでね説明するのってすごい簡単でこのゲームを使うとそのなんか喋らなあかんっていう、その英語を喋ることよりもそれを説明するために英語を使うことっていうふうに、まあ、意識がいって なんかそのなんていうかな、それこれ結構英語を話すことのハードルっていうのは結構低くなって、なんか言わなあかんっていう、まあ、文章を作らなくても単語だけでもその英語を話すのの怖さっていうのがちょっとなくなるし、結構しかも盛り上がる何よりもっていう結構そういう面白いゲームがあって、それ結構俺もう好きで。
That's excellent.
そう、
Yeah.
で留学だからこんなゲームできたんでしょと、周りの人がその同じ言語話せないからそういう感じで言えるんでしょって多分言うかもしれないですけど、これ日本人だけだとめちゃくちゃ面白くて、マジでこの友達で昔一緒に住んでたシェアハウスした時とかあったんですけど、その時もめちゃくちゃやってて、で周りの子がまあ英語喋りたい人が多くて、それでなんかまあ英語教えてよとか言ったけど、このゲームをまず紹介してみんなでやってた、で俺が気づく間違いのところだったらそこは後から訂正してあげてとかっていう感じでやってると、もうその人たちマジで英語上手くなってどんどんマジでマジで留学経験なしでもう普通に会話できるレベル、英語だけで聞けるし喋れるし、もうマジで会話が成立するレベルまでマジで、しかも全然時間かかってないぐらい、23ヶ月ほんまにかかってないぐらいでいけるんで、このゲームってマジで効果的で、なおかつ日本人だけでも全然できるっていう感じで、俺もうこれ正直日本語を勉強するしてる人でも使えるんじゃないかなってめちゃくちゃ。
Definitely, I think they can use it.
そう。
But something really interesting here. This is the first time I've heard about this. We did something very similar in my Japanese class, and I thought it was brilliant.
In Australia or in
No, in Japan.
あ、マジで?
So it wasn't necessarily a game, but what we did is in class we went over a number of words to describe different items. So things like maybe it opens, it closes. We learned shapes like a square, a circle, a cylinder, and a whole bunch of vocabulary to describe. And then the teacher gave us the, I guess you could call it a game. She said, think of something that you don't know in Japanese. So we thought of it. The thing I thought was fireplace. Fireplace, danno.
Okay.
I didn't know what that was in Japanese. And the aim of the game was that we would go through the school, just walk around, find someone, and try and find out what this word was.
Okay.
So we walked around, went to the cafeteria, and we said, hey, have you got a second? And I said, oh, this is for class, but there's a word I don't know. I'm wondering if you can help me.
Oh, so you explained in Japanese?
Yep, in Japanese.
And so they gave you...
Yep.
Wow.
And so we sat down, and then they said, yeah, sure. And we sat down, and I said, so there's this thing, I'm not sure what it's called. So it's kind of... It's this size, it might be, I know, 1 meter wide or something, and there's fire in it, it burns wood, you use it in winter, it's got a chimney, and then the person heard that and said, oh, it's a fireplace. I said, oh, fireplace, great. And then, so we did this all in Japanese. And so it's the same concept.
So you just talk to strangers?
Just talk to strangers. Maybe that's it, but this is in the school.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And we were asked to do it 3 times. And if all 3 people said the same word, we explained it properly.
確かに
If all 3 people said different things, we explained it badly.
確かに
So that was the game.
確かにね
But it was amazing because first we learnt a lot of words to describe it. That in order to describe fireplace, I needed to learn the word chimney, for example. So things like that, I learnt a lot of words, but also the skills that we learnt through that class meant that when I was having a conversation in Japanese and I didn't know a word, I could ask. That if we were talking in Japanese and I was saying, what do you call that thing? And then I could explain what it was. And so it meant that not only could I find out the name of things, but then conversations I was having with people weren't stopping when I was looking at the dictionary or whatever. I could find out with them. So it was a huge help. And I think it's the same purpose as the game.
いやそうだね。説明することによってその言語を話すことにもその説明をすることにも意識がいって、そうだね。その言語を使わなきゃいけない状況に持っていくっていうのはすごい確かにめちゃくちゃいい。今のはめちゃくちゃ面白いね確かに。
Yeah, I think it's great. I really enjoyed that.
確かに。しかもその3人ぐらいに聞いて、同じ答えが出てくるまで、で出てこんかったらその人説明が悪いっていうところでもないけど、その何回も説明することによってやっぱり理解深まるし、これってこうやって使うね、こうやって使うねと口が慣れてくるというか、だからこそテンプレートそうだね、テンプレート似てるけど、そんな感じでね、説明ゲームっていうのはしかも一つのものを説明したもので、その同じような文で違うものを説明する時も全然あるから、そういうのをそういう意味でもめちゃくちゃ使えるこの説明ゲーム、ぜひともやってほしい。これどっかでね、俺誰かとやってんの動画で上げたいなと思うんでね、またよかったら見てください。
Something else I think is worth mentioning about that too. Something we studied in the class is actually the order or the best way to explain things. And I think you don't really study that usually in a language school, like how to explain things.
Yep.
And at first I thought, oh, this is silly. We learnt this when we were a kid. I can speak English already.
Yep.
But it's really not. That when we were studying it, we were told, first explain the shape of it. Then explain the function of it. And so we would learn how to explain things, and it sounded silly, but it was so helpful. That you learned that if you explained, say, 3 key features or something like that.
So you can explain it efficiently.
Yeah, so you can explain efficiently. And asking 3 different people, you would try different orders and work out which ones worked and which ones didn't. Like the chimney part is a key piece of information for the fireplace.
Yes.
But maybe the colour of it isn't. So once I worked that out, I said, oh, all I need to say is, what's the thing with a chimney in the house? And people would get it. So that's also something I'd recommend as kind of, improving the way you explain things is a key kind of benefit of this game.
ここマジめちゃくちゃ大事ですよ。本当に。めちゃくちゃいい。マジ練習法。まあ一人よりもみんなでやったら楽しいような練習法だけど、めちゃくちゃ効果的な、しかも多分どの言語でもいける。あなたがもしもスペイン語を勉強してても、ポルトガル語を勉強してても、フランス語を勉強してても、どの言語でもいけるような、まあ練習法なんでね、ぜひよかったら使ってみてください。はい、ということで、今回ですね、僕の英語のスピーキングの勉強の仕方、勉強方法、あとブラッドの日本語のスピーキングを特にどうやって勉強したかっていうのを紹介してきました。で、この動画も参考になったという方いましたら、高評価、あとコメントでよかったらですね、この機会にもチャンネル登録もお願いします。じゃあまた次回の動画でお会いしましょう。じゃあね。
When I look in your eyes, feels like I